Be God's champion. Mom yelled out the front door every day as I headed off to school. It was inspiring. Who wouldn't want to be a warrior, a champion for love and the world and humanity? It was our one job in life, our mission, to be a champion for God in any arbitrary way dictated by the cult leader. Was I God's champion when I returned time and time again to the cult's orphanage for the first 7 years of my life, while my parents went out and raised funds and recruited new members? I was so sure I was. Was I God's champion at 12, when I left for the cult's boarding school on another continent, to be trained in language and their theology, only to be told at the end of the year I didn't measure up and was sent home? I was so sure I was. Was I God's champion when at 20 I participated in an arranged marriage to a complete stranger? I was so sure I was. Was I God's champion when I returned from that non-legally binding marriage to my friends, presenting me with a stack of evidence against the cult, and I chose them instead of my friends and stacks of evidence? I was so sure I was. Was I God's champion at 23, when I left my home country to live with my husband, where he had his mission to never really return to living in the U.S. permanently again? I was so sure I was. Was I God's champion when I stood at the doorway and told my children to be God's champion, raising them as I had been raised? I strived to be God's champion, that cult's champion for years. I was so sure I was. I was so sure these were choices I was making freely. And yet, being that champion was all I was ever told to be. It became all I ever wanted to be. Their education worked. It was effective. Until it wasn't anymore. With each choice to be a perfect champion for God, I realized I had lost a piece of myself. I'd strived for perfection in a category that moved goalposts and changed rules every time I turned around, with the only explanation being, how exciting is it to be alive with the living Messiah? As I raised my children, I found I couldn't do that to them. I couldn't keep up with it anymore. All that time I spent there is lost. And I accept that there is no way to get it back. But I am still here. I'm still here, and I am my own champion now.